Prepare for trouble and make it double. Double the price point, now that I think of it. Yeah, continuing my look at things meant for Toy-Sember this year, we are looking at the best Jessie and James you can currently buy. These are by Mega House as part of their G.E.M series. Never did figure out what G.E.M stands for, but apparently it stands for an acronym that means way too expensive. So, if you haven't seen the price point on these things, we're going to save that to the end. You're in for such a treat. But first, we're going to look at what you actually get, and we will start with Jessie, because that was the first one that came out. Now, first off, these things are made exceptionally well. I'll go ahead and give you a zoomed-in look on her. The sculpting on these things is fantastic. The paint is really crisp, and they made sure to put in a lot of airbrushing to make sure things look a lot more vibrant. In particular, hair. And when it comes to Jessie, the hair is such an important detail. Now, of course, this makes her head exceptionally heavy, but hey, you can't argue with the results. It is flowing. You can see the airbrushing darkening it through streaks, giving it a more realistic shadow to it. It definitely has a lot of attention to, and looks exceptionally nice. Everything on her absolutely does look nice. You can see more airbrushing along her boots, giving them a lot more definition. Lots of little details, things you don't even see in the animation, like the little wrinkles at the back of her knee like real boots would have. You can see the exact same type around her ankles. Little folds and creases that you get in the actual clothing item, but not something that you typically see in any official artwork capacity. You can see it in the shoulders too, where the sleeves are hanging slack. Excellently detailed. You can even see that R that's been opened up in about as realistically as it would be open, and still all painted and crafted very, very crisp. The pose itself, kind of weird. You've got a head sculpt that goes with it pretty well, and the head sculpt on this thing is really nice. You can see lipstick, earrings, everything's been painted very well, tamper-graphed eyes, so she definitely has the anime look to her. Problem with it is it's designed to go something like this. You know, with her kind of looking on from the side, hips out, that kind of thing. I'm not a big fan of this pose. I'd really like to see the front of her uniform, and of course you can just rotate it. But as you can see by the base, this is the direction it's meant to be viewed from. Not one I necessarily agree with, but hey, that's what they were doing. As far as function goes on these things, well, all you really have is a head articulation. So you can adjust the angle of the head, and if you want a different kind of pose, you can kind of get one out of her. The problem with this is the head's ball joint is very loose. Her head comes off very easily, and the hair does not help matters here. It means the joint tends to be rather loose, and it's pretty easy to shift the head out of position or knock it off entirely. That's an option too. As you can see by the base, Team Rocket, the big R, and a whole bunch of little white Wobbuffet silhouettes, because these G.E.M figures do come with a little Pokemon of their own, and in this case, it is Wobbuffet, because it's Jessie. Of course it's Wobbuffet. It's a really nice little interpretation. See, got the big face, he's got the airbrushing around the mouth, giving it a little bit more texture to it. Not quite as clean as it is on Jessie, but hey, they tried. And you can see the tail with the eyes. Everything done well. You know the best part about this Wobbuffet? It's squishy! Which is about the most accurate thing you can do with a Wobbuffet. Now, more along the lines, to make it the way you'd make a dog toy is pretty much just to keep it cheap, because otherwise this would be a huge hunk of plastic. But this is something of a nice benefit, and very much in character with Wobbuffet. So that's actually a really cool thing, and that does have a really cool touch to it. Now, before we go with the other problems this figure has, we're going to go on with James. This is cool because I actually met the voice actor this year. And I have an autograph from him. Yay! James in a much more Kamen Rider-esque pose than Jessie. He's very, very happy with his position in Team Rocket, apparently. Once again, head is immaculately done. Of course, we don't have as much hair this time, but hey, they did airbrush it, so you do have plenty of detail going on here. All the individual strands molded and such. Definitely, the flamboyance of Team Rocket coming through in the design. Sculpting again, excellently done. Tamper-graphed eyes. Big teeth this time. Big anime teeth, which means it's one big solid tooth with no extra molding to it. And here we can actually see the Team Rocket uniform a little bit better since it's not opened up to show off Jessie's cleavage, or what would be cleavage. Everything immaculately done again. Little bits of airbrushing where the shadows would be. Lots of creases and folds in the pants to make sure it looks more natural. But there's a slight bit of airbrushing on his butt to make his cheeks stand out. Hey, no discrimination here. Fangirls, hey, eat it up. You get it. You get a little bit of fan service too. But again, you can see airbrushing, folds, creases, everything. This does look like someone actually wearing the costume. Excellently done. I'm a fan. Again, all he has is ball joint in the neck. Now, his head does not come off as easily, but it also does not have nearly as many ways of moving as Jessie's, unfortunately, so his pose is pretty much static. So who does he come with? Well, you already saw it, but Meowth. That's right. Looking a little bit more yellow than I would assume a Meowth to be, but otherwise done exceptionally well. Once again, the paint is immaculate. It's very crisp. All the lines are very clean, and everything that's tamper-graphed is very evenly placed and looks absolutely correct. It's a very excited Meowth. Not much reason to be excited when you're on Team Rocket, but hey, he makes his way. Once again, ball joint in the neck. Gives you a little bit more range here. Gives you a little bit of something to do with him. And is this little display stand that he plugs into, which is absolutely necessary because there's no way for him to stand up on his own. So, you do have a nice Meowth going along with Team Rocket because you have to. So let's take a look at the pair in general, and can we actually see what the problem is? For me, the problem is those bases. Oh my god, those bases. Now, the bases themselves, okay, yes, they are large and sturdy. Team Rocket with a bunch of meows on it. This does work if you buy just one, but this is Jessie and James. You're going to buy them both. And unfortunately, there's no way for them to share a podium. There's no way for them to share a pedestal. And because of things like, you know, Jessie's hair, she really can't do without the platform. She does have a balance to her, but she's not going to take a whole lot of rocking to knock her over. Meowth doesn't do it either. And there goes the head. So on Jessie, the base is more or less required. And the unfortunate thing here is because of the poses they are in, there's no real way of having Jessie and James together. You know, this is about as close as they get. And it's not... The poses themselves don't look too great together. I'd much rather prefer something more along the lines of how they pose for, like, the Team Rocket motto. Now, the problem here is the fact that, of course, the display stand's too large, and they don't fit together in any way. And there's no way to reposition them on the display stands because the pegs are designed for each individual foot. So the right peg can only go on the right foot, left peg can only go in the left foot, etc. So this really kind of detracts from posing Team Rocket together, which is a huge downside for me. Now, here's the crux of the whole thing. These, not very big. I don't do it often, but I will whip out the tape measure just so you guys know. Jessie here stands about 4.5 inches of actual height, almost 5 inches. So she's not too big. I've seen much bigger figures at anime conventions. Not of Jessie, but just in general. So keep in mind, one point of articulation, one accessory figurine, one display stand. Uh, Mega House asks 5,500 yen for these, which with exchange rate right now is about 50 bucks a pop for unarticulated figures. That is utterly absurd. I've had Figuarts, especially with the new renewal line, less expensive than this, that do so much more. And they have just as much good detail going on, and they're articulated no less. This is just disappointing. I would. It's the price point. These are extremely well made, and they look really good. The poses for me don't quite work together. The bases being too big and keeping them from being together, displayed together properly, really hurts it for me. But it's the price. It's the price point that really makes it impossible to recommend these things. They're just way too expensive. If you can get them off, if you can get them half off, and they're the only Jessie and James option you have, then okay, fine. That I could actually see. But you have Figuart Jessie and James that was showed off at a Japanese toy show not too long ago. They don't have prices or dates as of this recording, but once they do, these things are hitting eBay, because I will absolutely take articulated Figuarts over these static figurines. They are exceptionally good, but 5,500 yen exceptional? No. No, they are not.